Yeah, I got it. There you
That
go.
one? Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
we're good. Thank you.
We're on.
Very nice.
It is 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll start with our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, as far as the agenda is concerned, this is our board workshop for the budget. And either one of our two public have a public comment at this time? That will go ahead and get started on our budget for 2024 and 2025. I gave you a copy of all of the budgets, even though we only have to do the general fund, the fire fund, and the police fund. But the cemetery's in there, ARPA's in there, building department's in there. We don't have to have our motion to include all of those. But starting with the biggest one is our general fund. In the you'll see way over in the far right-hand column, it says 2024 preliminary budget. That's the budget that I have filled in. The column to the left is what our budget was this past year that we're in right now, and then the activity for this current year before that, and then the very first one is last year. So you can see how a year turned out back in 2022, 23. So in the first page is our revenue. We don't know what the millage rate is at this point in time. I guesstimated 1.28 mills for the township. And we probably won't know that in another month, well, 2 weeks maybe. Our property tax revenue is based on a taxable value of $363,416,799. And so our tax revenue is listed there. It's $465,000 between there and the personal property tax, the $438 and the $26. Revenue sharing from the state, it's guesstimated right now on the state's website at $454,000 and some change there. And I just found out today it came through on our MTA. If you had a chance to read your updates from MTA, the statutory revenue, we're going to get a chunk of that. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's been almost 20 years since we've had that. And now there'll be 1,091 townships that will get that, along with the handful that have received it all along. So don't know what it is yet, but any amount is good. Got our interest income at $5,000, and most of the other ones, like the facility tax and split fees and so on and so forth, that's just a guesstimate I put in there as far as what we've done in the past. And so our total income for next year would be $953,000. And so I don't know if anybody's got any questions as far as the income is concerned. As far as the expenditures are concerned, the very first section is the governing body. That's where the trustees' salaries are, the very first couple lines there. I did not increase any salaries in this section whatsoever. It's up for discussion if anybody wants to talk about that further. Workman's comp, I took it up a little bit just because I'm assuming that we're going to see a little increase in our workman's comp. We always do. But most of them are pretty close to being the same. I got legal fees again at $10,000. We do have a case going on right now. It's a medical marijuana case. So our insurance company is picking up that tab, but we'll have a $5,000 deductible on that we'll have to pay on that when this is all over. Other than that, recycling, I've got that in there at 19,000. That's both the battery and the metal and paper and like that. Bumped up the property liability insurance a little bit. And computer services, I'm not sure why this year it's so high. I'm going to have to do a little looking on that one, but I've got it in there at 6,000 right now, so I'm not sure why that. I haven't been all the way through to see what that almost $13,000 is for. And then our DDA payment, I bumped that up from to 15,000. It was 12,000 last year, and then capital outlay of $10,000. That will probably go up if we can ever get a hold of Travis Priest to pave our parking lot and our entrances for this building. We're still working on that. So any questions or comments concerning the governing body? Supervisor section is almost identical to what it was last year. It's a few $100 actually less than what we budgeted last year. And here again, no increases in salary in that section. Clerk section, I did. Yes.
On the supervisor section, we don't have anything under education and training, correct?
Right. At this point,
we're going to have a new supervisor. So
I can stick something in there. I just don't, I don't know what all they're going to want to do. You can always make a budget adjustment later on when you get that, but we can stick something in if you want to.
Don't we normally put a placeholder in there? I mean, we have 200 in under the trustees. I mean, based on the fact that we're going to have.
Well, for conferences and workshops, for the supervisor, I do have 750 in
Yeah,
there.
750 in there.
It's the miscellaneous that I didn't put the $500 in there for miscellaneous. So we do have 750 in for conferences, workshops, and then membership and dues $200 if they want to belong to the MTA Supervisors Association or not.
I was looking at the line above that. Education.
Oh, education and training.
Yeah.
It's.
I
I think we've got a ton of lines that we don't need or use, and I've sort of lumped some of this stuff together in that. So.
That's good.
Anything on that? Anything else there?
If you go back to the governing body there.
Yep.
The DDA payment.
Yep.
Explain that a little bit to me.
The
That's
DDA,
a yearly contribution.
it's not a contribution. They capture a certain percentage. There's a formula that is used, and they capture a certain portion of the taxes that we receive from those in the DDA district. So in the village, it gets the same thing with their village taxes. They take that, and it's it adds up, but I'm guessing it's going to be about 15 grand this next year, because our SEV went up. So but they capture that. It goes into the DDA fund, and they can do as they please.
But back into 2022 and 23, there was nothing.
Well, there was, but we didn't. How did that go, Roberta?
No line item.
It was reduced. We reduced our income by that, and then we decided, we better show that because it was getting to be a large sum. So we started last year. We started putting that in there so that people can see it. Does that answer you?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions there? Going on to the clerk section, I did bump that up from the salary from what our conversation was at our the one meeting that we had in April, and adjusted the Social Security and Medicare as when the insurances as well, since they all are salary related. Bumped up computer services because I'm sure that their fees are going to go up for BSNA for the software that we get from there. Going right along with the clerk, the deputy clerk, we've got that in there. No increase whatsoever, but that's strictly a salary. Any questions on the clerk or deputy clerk?
And the additional charges for election staff,
That's
that is in a
the
separate
election. That's in
area.
it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Next one's our board of review. That's pretty much the same each year. We have three meetings a year, and there's 3 members, so it's pretty much all wages. This year, we're going to do a little different. Our education and training is actually going to be here in Almont, and Tom Valentine is actually going to teach the class. I got him approved through the state of Michigan to teach the class along with Will Gass. And Will's going to come with him. This will be the first class that Tom's done like this, but I think that he can do a good job. As a matter of fact, we were listed on the state website, and I think we have a total of 17 coming now, not just our 3. They're coming from clear from the other side of the state. I got one guy that may be coming down from the UP because we aren't doing it virtual. Our first one through, I didn't want to try to do it virtual. There's so many rules and regulations because they have to be able to see you for the entire 3-hour training class. You can't get up and leave or anything else. So I thought, you know what, I thought we were only going to have our 3, and I didn't know they were going to put it on the state website. So,
When is that?
pardon?
When is that training?
In July, the July board of review meeting. We're having our board of review meeting on I think it's the 16th. And then right after that, starting at 11 o'clock, we're going to start with our training, and it's a 3-hour training.
So do we have an income from that?
No, we didn't charge or anything like that because we aren't going to have any expenses. Like I say, I thought we would just be doing our 3. So if we do it in the future, we could do something like that if the board chooses to go on with this. But
And when Tom retires
yeah,
from us,
we'd have to have somebody else
Somebody
approved
else
to
will
do
have
it
to do it.
because he's the one that's approved right now. So,
okay.
any other board of review questions? Treasurer, no changes there as far as the treasurer is concerned. It's pretty much within the same budget that we had for this year. Here again, no change in the wages. Deputy treasurer, we will actually be adding a deputy treasurer, that's going to be in the building. So that adds a cost. I have no idea, how much to add in there, but I'm sure that as it goes along, that can be adjusted based on the need. Assessor and equalization. Assessor, I had bumped it up, 3%, thinking that we were going to do that. But now with Tom retiring this year, and he says just keep his salary the same. He's got 1 year left on his contract, but he's, as you saw in the regular session tonight, or regular meeting tonight, he was working on a month-to-month salary or month-to-month basis. And if we find someone that we want to bring on and we don't need Tom anymore, he is more than happy to step aside. But by the end of December, he is done, whether we have anybody or not. So that would change based on what we find for an assessor. Right now, I've got 1 feeler out and have not heard back. Anyway, I got turned down by 1 and got 1 on the hook right now. So, elections, we're set up for 2 elections: the primary in August and also the regular election in November, including our 9 days and everything. So that's why you see such a big jump This past year, we spent $26,000 for just one election. So we pretty much doubled that, and because of the 9 days early voting, that's very, very, very expensive. Any questions on anything?
Are we reimbursed by the state for some of this stuff?
Yes, I had put it in and I had to resubmit it today.
Okay.
It was resubmitted today, but I want to say it was roughly 25,000 I asked for reimbursement. Because you can't ask for stuff that you can reuse, which is some
Okay.
of the stuff that's in there,
Okay,
like bags and stuff. But yeah, the majority of it, we should be reimbursed from the state.
oh, that's good news.
I don't know how long that takes.
Okay,
Or we don't know if we'll get it all.
Yeah.
She put in for everything.
Yeah, I put in
Right.
for everything because I said the worst they'll tell me is, no, we
Right.
don't reimburse for
Right.
that.
Right.
So I put in for everything.
will they also pay for salaries for the people that are working? Will they?
They
Reimburse
will,
that.
but I believe I put it in as our dollar amounts, but I believe they'll only go up to $15 an hour. So
Okay.
we probably won't get that full 25 back because the Saturday and Sunday we were paying people 20
Right,
and chairs we paid 20. I don't know if they will only pay 15 for those. So
Okay.
it might be less than that, but I put everything possible on that.
but that would be a big chunk
Yeah.
if they would
If we can get
reimburse
some of
that.
that, anything. And it is, if you remember right, that any reimbursement goes in our revenues up top, so you don't see this netted out. This still will stay there, the total expense, the income will come in as a revenue up at the top of the budget
Okay,
in the revenue section.
okay, so it's not,
It doesn't get netted out to only show it's a $5,000
Right,
expense.
it's not confusing.
Not confusing, no.
all right, so it's a reimbursement, but it'll go into just a general
Yes,
income
yes,
kind
yes.
of a thing. Okay, thank you.
Building and grounds, we have changed our way our telephone, fax, and computers all work. That's why you'll see that has jumped up. We are no longer paying on if we have any phone calls or anything like that going to, it's just a monthly charge going into KW. Everything is done on there. The only thing we have to pay for there is the actual telephone lines, and then also any new equipment that we buy. Everything else is all covered within our monthly fee.
So is the ball fields captured under buildings and grounds?
No, it's under the parks, that last item. The last item in the agenda, it's in the parks. So anything under building and grounds? Drains is a guess based on last year's. I won't know that till probably the first part of June when we get our bill, but last year was around $14,000, and so that's what I put in there again. So for this one. Street lighting, we're actually saving a little money here with our new LED lights. It has saved us some money. Not a ton, but it has saved us some. So hopefully that will pay off over the time. I think it was like a 6 or 7 year payback. So we're still in year one with it. So everything should be right, hopefully.
Some of the additional streets that have been added, like Daisy Lane and now the use of Wiegand and stuff like that, are we going to need to add some for those intersections, or?
It's up to the board what they want to do. We don't have the population there, and I don't know that I would even do anything until we had a huge increase in the number of people and the travelers going down that street before I'd spend that kind of money and putting in a street light. Road Commission, I've put in our $300,000 that we usually look at spending. And we're also taking some of our ARPA money and using it for roads and also for fixing up, the ditches and the trees and things like that out on Scotch Settlement Road. So that's coming out of ARPA, not out of this budget here. We need to what?
We need to raise the roads?
But, you can spend anything you want to. I mean, you could double it if you wanted to, and it still wouldn't, take care of all the roads. We really need a millage for roads. It really needs to have something that's, coming in all the time. But, I mean, if the board wants to increase it, it's fine, but that's what we've been spending for the last few years. Or that's what we've been budgeting. We've always stayed right close. You'll see the activity for 23 is 280,000, and then so far we spent 279,000 this year. So we stay pretty close to that $300,000.
Well, my thought on it is that we don't really spend our money anywhere else but roads. I mean, we have a little bit the park, a little bit the ball fields, that kind of thing. The roads are our biggest probably expense. Our taxable value has went up quite a bit in the last 10 years, but specifically like in the last 5 years, I know over by me, there's probably $10 million in taxable that's went up, of houses that have been built.
Right. Don't forget Headley. Headley affects it so that you don't, the millage keeps coming down.
True.
So, theoretically, we're not supposed to have any more money than, we were, other than the new builds. Value is going
If we
up,
spent that
that's
on
what
roads,
Headley
we wouldn't
affects.
have we wouldn't have that money.
I mean, you'll look at this budget, there's the bottom line is about $26,000 to the good. So if you did spend more, it's coming out of fund balance.
Which we're still pretty healthy on that, right?
So Rick, what kind of figure are you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, it's up for discussion, but I mean, that's our biggest complaint. People are always complaining about roads. I know we did a lot of gravel and limestone last year. There's probably more that's needed. I know I was over at Sand Hill or whatever. That area looks like it came out really good. So it was money well spent. What else do we need to do? I know Tub Spring Road's still pretty bad, west of Van Dyke.
Well, our program that we have, Rick, is such that we work on the roads where it's first, the ones where the high traffic volume.
Mhm.
So basically, starting from the southern end of the township, and working north. And I think if we're up to about Muir Road now, up to Dryden Road, and there, most of the ones to the south of us, are pretty much, taken care of. It's basically grading that we have to do, to Huff and to Boardman and Sand Hill and those down here in the south.
I mean, I'm fortunate to live on a very bumpy blacktop road, but Kim, I know you use Huff Road and you use Tub Spring Road.
You can see my dusty car. It looks like a beautiful brown car out there.
Jenny would love to have Tub Spring Road to
Yeah.
Shoemaker Road paved, so.
Yeah.
There's some other roads around too, I mean, we got Lantern, Surrey, and Tiffany and all that, right?
Right.
Not that, I have no problem raising it up.
Would the board entertain increasing it by 100,000, taking it up to 4?
As long as the board realizes it's coming out of fund balance.
Pardon me?
Coming out of fund balance.
Correct.
I don't have a problem with it.
Is,
It's just, that's not what we'd have to figure out what else we want to do, because that isn't in our, our budget right now is basically around 300,000. So,
I understand that. I'm just saying, pursuant to what Rick is saying, Randy and I have discussed it. I mean, the roads are an important part of the program here. I wouldn't have a problem myself increasing it up to, another 100.
400.
100,
is
right.
that direction of the board? I can certainly change that.
that's fine, but I would like to see a plan, not just here's a bunch of money. Is there a plan? Let's kind of be more organized, and what are we going to look at? What are we
Well,
going to
we
do?
do have a plan for the 300. I mean, we know where
Exactly.
that's going. We've
Exactly.
approved that, but we'll have to sit down as a road committee and figure out, what we can do with the 100,000.
They do have at the road commission, they have all the tallies of the roads on how they're traveled and all that. They kind of have a plan there themselves. We do have one as a road committee there. I have it. I don't have it with me right now, but I do have it. And I don't think Huff Road was on it.
Huff Road takes a beating, and
I know.
It's all limestone too there.
It doesn't matter how it's constant
Yeah.
travel, and you make it nice, and then
I
it
think
gets
it gets
bad
a lot of
again.
travel.
One thing that,
Yeah,
if you go to other places that use limestone, they have teeth on the grader, not on the blade, but on the grader. They'll go down and they'll rip down and basically bring that stuff up that far down, bring it back up and like recycle it. But they can't go fast when they do that. So,
Well, let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and bump that up, and
Yeah.
then we can meet
That's
and
fine.
come, and bring that back, because you'll have to approve the work orders anyway, so, okay?
Yeah, I'm good with the 400. I mean,
Okay. Cemetery, this is included our sexton and any mowings and things like that, that's in there. Obviously, any burials or stuff like that would be additional expense, but here again, it's offset with income coming in. It does pay for
and
itself.
this is for the 3 cemeteries.
Yes. Other than, no, it's not. It's for really 2. Scotch Settlement is on its own,
Oh, okay.
and they reimburse.
So it's Webster
They
and Sand
reimbursed
Hill.
it, yeah, Webster and Sand Hill. First responders, we've kept that pretty much the same. It's just under $30,000. They do a fantastic job. We've increased the wages. We bought them a new rig, not a new rig, but one, so the maintenance went down on that. So as of right now, we're staying right within that budget. I know in years to come, as that rig gets older, it's obviously going to cost more money. But at this point in time, I think that takes care of it. Planning Commission, we had a little extra in it this year because of the master plan. Next year, we don't have that, so we pretty much go back to just the regular Planning Commission meetings and any new projects and things like that may come in. Any questions so far, any of this stuff? Planning and zoning is Ida's portion for her zoning administration. That's just basically a salary. The ZBA is all basically salaries in any training that they are, stuff they want to do. We haven't had many meetings in the past 2 years, knock on wood.
so we don't have anything captured for education and training, or, because there's no line item for it, but nothing under conference and workshops either.
No, the printing and publishing and the contractual services is in there. We've not had anyone that I know of. Well, I guess we did have one a couple of years ago to go to training, but most of them
That's a
want to
different
go.
topic, but it should be required. Every person that gets appointed should take at least the basic training, and if they're not willing to do that, they should be removed from.
Most of the ZBA members have been here. There's been a couple that have changed, but most of the time it's pretty much the same that we've had for a good number of years. So, but if the board wants to choose to force them to take some classes, that's fine. Make it a requirement. Ordinance officer, strictly salary. And then our parks and recreations, you see the water for the concession stand, electricity for the concession stand over at the ball fields. And then it's the lawn maintenance, that cemetery is not in there. And when Carol slipped one time when she was putting that in there, it should just say lawn maintenance. That's our contract with Josh Zender. And then our $12,500 is the township contribution to our village and township park down on Water Street. And then we have stuck $1,000 in for capital outlay, and not knowing what may come up. I know they're talking about a new electronic sign and things like that, so that budget may have to be adjusted at some point in time if they do come up with a project that they want some money for. So
Did the village raise their contribution?
I don't think they did. Theirs is 20. They do 20. They've got a new one going on, but I don't know what it is yet.
They're a little different because it's taken, money from this pocket and putting it in that pocket, where ours is actually,
Right.
going to go to them. So
Right.
to
They
go
allocate
and just to
money,
sit
they
there.
allocate money, and then they use the DPW to pay, cut the
Right,
grass,
yeah.
which then pays for the.
So it's easier if we just budget a certain amount that we're gonna actually spend. And then if they need special projects, we're more than willing to put money into it. But just to give them, $15,000 or $20,000 to sit in their account rather than our account, I've never
We
been.
haven't done, the park hasn't done their budget yet. We have to work on that too. So,
So that is the general fund budget in a nutshell. And the only one that I have right now is the change in the roads that you want to take care of. Any other adjustments that we need to make before we bring it to the board for approval in June? Okay, let's go to the fire department. Fire department, again, is based on our millage rate. And we've pretty much stayed with our budget for last year. We did increase the income coming in a little bit, but as far as the expenditures are concerned, didn't raise anything major in there other than the very last thing, and that's the fire truck. That's $804,000, and we're going to have $250,000 of that that's due or $275,000, I'm sorry, due in September, and the balance of that will be due probably when we take final delivery, and we're guessing in the March, April, May timeframe of 2025. And that takes their fund balance pretty much down to zero. There's not much left when we get done with that. So, but we didn't do anything with their salaries. Don said we're competitive throughout the county as far as our hourly wages concerned for our firefighters, and our officers are right there as well. So he did not recommend any increases there whatsoever. Questions for the fire fund? And the last one we do for sure is the police fund. Now this one is going to need see what we want to do. Taxable value, and remember this is only for the township portion, this is not for the village, and it does not include any special assessments or anything like that we can use here. But we reduced our millage rate down to 2 mills last year, and you can see what that we still added to the fund balance. Looking at this, with our taxable value is $249,849,780. 2 mills will bring in just under $500,000, $499,699, and our contract for the village is $451,000. So you can see we got a little extra. We could take it down to 1.9 mills. That brings in $474,000. And also this is our last year of our 3-year contract. So, and this also is the ending in June of 25, and that'll be also when their union contract expires. So we've got those timed together. So next year is, you may end up having to raise that millage a little bit, or you can stay at 2 mills, put some money in the fund balance, and hopefully we can either stay at 2 mills or go down to 1.9 next year once we know the contract. But if we go down to 1.9 this year, we may end up board may have to take a look at increasing it back to 2 to take care of the contract, or take it out of fund balance, which I don't recommend, because we've got when we took the fund balance down so low before, we actually had to loan the police fund money out of our general fund. That it's an accounting nightmare for our clerk. It's just not a good situation. So we got to remember that the money that we need to keep in our fund balance has got to take care of us for 6 months until the tax money starts coming in December. So I think right around $300,000 is really what we need to keep in there at all times to make sure we can do that. But we can leave it at 2 mills. People aren't expecting a decrease for this year, and then see what next year brings with the new police contract.
I would say leave it where it is.
Leave it at 2 mills.
I would hate to drop it and then say, oh, we should have never done that.
Yep.
And then we got to raise it over 2. That's not, leave it
That's-
where it is.
Yeah, I put the number in the budget. I put it in at 2. I was in agreement with that, but I thought I at least got to tell everybody that we could go lower if we wanted to. So
And the police contract may increase anyways.
well, it's going to.
Yeah.
You can remember, last year,
Sure it will.
we did kick a little money in for the officers.
So we'll lower it and then go back
yeah,
up and have to
so,
go back up again. Right.
This way it takes care of that. So we'll leave that at 2 mills. And so when we have our appropriations motion, it'll be at the 2 mills in June when we do that. So those are the 3 budgets that we have to do. Like I say, I put the building department in there. You can see that the last couple of years, our budget is, our income's going down in the building department. We're not building as much as we have in the past. So, that's down there for this year so far. For 23, 24, we've only taken in $66,000, and normally we're around 110. So, and there's only 2 months left. So I don't see us getting anywhere near the $110,000 that we had budgeted for last year. So, and then our expenditures for the building department, we're still as the buildings are being finished up, we're still paying out salaries for the inspections, and so that fund balance is listed there. It's not that large because we've got quite a bit outstanding that we owe our inspectors yet once for these other jobs.
Where's the trust and agency balance on here? What is that on here?
No, we don't do anything with trust and agency.
We don't have a budget for balance.
Okay.
It's not our,
It's
it's
just
not
a
our
balance.
money.
Right.
It's not our money. It's in
It's-
and out money. So it has nothing to do with us.
Okay, it's just a fund and it's kept
Yep.
off to the side. Okay.
So the permit clerk, are we covered on salary for that? I know that we
No.
looked at raising.
No. You will be short-term, the long-term, no, unless the building in the township skyrockets.
Have to increase the admin fee. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we set the $15 was based on an average of, how many years did you do? 5 or something like that. We did a 5-year average of what the admin fee brought in, and then and divided that out by the number of hours that were there. So we came up with an average hourly rate, and it was, $15 to $16.
Right.
So with what we're collecting now with an admin fee, that covers that. But if you go higher than, the $15, $16, you can cover it short term because there is money in the fund balance, but long term, you're going to be short.
We're finding that $15, $16 is not getting us the permit.
We'll see that. That's going to be, I hope it's going to come up to our meeting and next meeting. So,
Okay.
It may be tonight
huh?
as a late agenda item.
Late
tonight.
agenda, yeah, tonight.
So do we need to add?
And then the last sheet is our ARPA money.
Oh, wait a minute.
We still have,
Roberta has a question.
Wait a
oh,
minute,
I'm
wait a
sorry.
minute, it's all
We
right.
need to add.
On the building department, if we got rid of them paying rent, that at least give them a little $3,600. I mean, it's only a little, what do we charge them for electricity and,
computer services that we pay for.
well, the computer services doesn't that come out of their own?
No, that's that part of it there is the program for BSNA. But any,
The rent?
huh?
The rent?
No. You said computer services.
No, the rent.
The rent is for the computers that we service and things like that. If they call KW, that, you know, that's stuff that we're paying for. It doesn't get, I don't think it gets charged to them. We don't divvy it up because we don't know who it is for now.
Sometimes, well, like when, yeah, it depends, because KW sometimes puts building on there. If they do that, then I do it, but that lump sum is for everyone's computer,
Yeah.
right? So that just comes out of
Yeah.
general.
So it's a lump sum,
For the
3,600.
computers is right now. Oh, I mean, for the rent?
yes,
Yeah, we raised that a year ago
right.
because we thought that they should pay more.
But that includes, okay, let me be clear here. What does that include?
It includes their space that they're in there, their electricity, their phone system, their computers. They buy the computers, but we pay for any maintenance and
That's
stuff like
included, the
that.
maintenance is included in that 3,600, okay.
Any more questions?
So if we hired a permit clerk and we wanted to pay them more than $15 an hour, you can't classify that as clerical under that and have the general fund pay that?
Why would you want to have the general fund pay for the building department?
For clerical services?
Why? I mean, that, to me, I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, the building department should be a standalone.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
The building department should be a standalone budget. And why, if I'm not building anything, why should I have to pay for the wages and things like that going on in the building department? But I mean, the board can do what they want, but I mean, I'm not gonna be here next year, so.
If
but
I
That's been the
remember-
argument all along.
We discussed that at our building committee today, I believe. Did we not, Roberta?
A little bit.
Yes. And Joe was talking about that he has gone to train, or is looking for training to go to for building department, the financials there of it. And I believe he said he's been doing some investigating there on his own, and he says that you can pay like a permit clerk clerical and pay it out of the general fund.
You can pay for the whole thing out of general fund if you want to. You can make it as a division or a.
I guess what I'm saying is that we're stuck on this $15 an hour. You're not gonna get anybody to come in here that's worth anything and pay them $15 an hour. I'm saying that number needs to be raised to $20 an hour at the minimum. And I mean, we did speak with one today that was willing to come in and work for $15 to, see if she likes it. And then, but, the other one that we had in mind that we have picked says $20 an hour. I mean, she says, I'm getting 23 right now. So, I mean.
The board can do whatever they want.
So the discussion was to help subsidize that permit clerk's salary. Okay, well, that's open for obviously board discussion.
Mhm.
And I think we'll probably enter in on that discussion at our next meeting.
I agree with Randy, $15 starting pay is way too low, way too low. But if I remember correctly, the building department has to be self-supporting.
It doesn't have to be, it was board directed.
So could we?
There's nothing
I believe
that-
I believe it has to be self-supporting, but that is my impression. It would be worth checking that out, just to make sure we're doing the right thing.
All I know
And
is
pull it
about
out.
17 years ago, it wasn't self-supporting. It had a line item in the
I would
general fund.
feel comfortable I think checking on that would be a good idea, but you're right, that pay needs to be increased. $15 an hour is not,
The way to do it is to increase the fees.
and perhaps, yes.
And not to do anything on the general fund, just increase the
Right.
fees.
Why
We
make
can
Yeah.
move that administrative fee back.
And take
'Cause
that
we can reduce
rental charge out was gonna help too. I mean, if the building department wasn't there, we're paying for heating of that room anyway.
But it also includes the support and everything for the computer systems.
Well, do the breakdown on that then, I guess, if you pulled that computer system out, what would be the balance, so to speak?
Well, it's what they charge, what the S&E charges us to have the support, which each of our programs have. Tax has their own support, assessing, and so does building, because they're their programs. So they charge us for each one for support for those programs. I don't think that $3,600 is gonna make much difference towards that.
I think the fees have to go up a little bit. We have to tweak that. And I would be interested in how other communities do this. Because if everybody has to do it the same way.
Not that many people have building departments anymore.
No, they don't.
Well, that is true. That is true. I'm just wondering how other communities do that.
That's okay, we can be the pioneer.
Or, you know, yeah.
All right, let's stay on track with the budget. As far as anything else in this thing, ARPA, we've still got a couple $100,000 that we need to spend. And we've got to get it at least earmarked by the end of December. Hopefully this, all this ditching will be done and we can get that, pay for it out of there. And that way, by the end of the year, that will be down to zero and we won't have to worry about it anymore.
I did
So
find out that bid for the ditching. Bethany's sending it
they
out
just sent it out, yeah.
this week.
Yeah. I thought it was already sent out, but
Yeah,
they,
same here.
yeah, I thought the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing sometime up there.
They weren't utilizing that time to clean up the mess they already created, so.
Any other questions on any of the budgets that we've gone through tonight? Especially the three main ones, that's the general, the fire, and the police. Those are the three we need appropriations for.
I didn't see the Scotch Settlement Cemetery on there.
It's,
It was with the
it's in there as the cemetery one.
Sand Hills.
Yeah.
There's only one in there, and that's the, that's because that's that $40,000 that we've got, that the trust fund that they
Right.
turned
Page
over to
9.
us.
Page 9.
That's the only, there's a separate budget in there for cemeteries, and that's Scotch Settlement.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything else?
When, I have a question. When we put the fence in and figure out how we are going to complete that Scotch settlement project, is it going to come out of the ARPA funds? We had talked about that. Or will it come out of the cemetery budget?
Hopefully by then we'll have, the ARPA pretty much spent and can
Okay.
come out of the general fund. I mean,
Okay,
we could tack anything we want to onto the ARPA. And I just want to get, have it be zero here pretty quick.
okay. Okay, thank you.
So we have to earmark by December,
31st, and
spend
spent
by,
by December 31st of 25.
okay.
We're working on it.
Anything else?
Nope.
Not to entertain a motion.
I
to
make a
adjourn.
motion that we adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion to support to adjourn the budget workshop. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
So now we thank everybody for coming out. We go home.
No. Gary, I'm gonna turn this off. Start with you. Please.
You have to hold it, right?
Yeah.